All right, good morning, students. Today we are going to be dealing with 2.7, and we're going to be talking about the difference of two squares and a perfect square trinomial pattern. Okay, difference in two squares and a perfect square. So let's look at this. This is actually much easier than yesterday's lesson. So here we go. Difference in two perfect squares. So what you have here is you have two perfect squares. X squared is a perfect square and 9 is a perfect square. And so if we're going to factor this, we know first we're going to create our two parentheses. In order to get the x, I'm going to have x and x, right? And then in order to get the 9, I'm going to have a positive 3 and a negative 3. And believe it or not, this x plus 3 times x minus 3 will give you x squared minus 9. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's the perfect square, and then plus and minus the perfect square. And the way you can check, we can do our double smiley. We can check, because there is no middle number, right? So we have a 3x, and then for this one, we have a negative 3x. So that is 0. That cancels out. So in the end, we're left with x squared plus 3x minus 3x, which is 0, minus 9. X squared plus 9. Minus 9. X squared minus 9. That's an example of a perfect square. And what I'm going to do before I do an example of this is we're going to do a couple perfect squares so that we get it solidified in our brains. So here we go. S squared minus 49. Are they both perfect squares? Yes. Are they subtracted? Yes. Okay. Then I can do this. How do I get my S? S times S. 49, I have plus 7 minus 7. And that's it. If I wanted to check it, I could do my double smiley face. I could check it. And sure enough, I get a 7s and I get a negative 7s. So the middle cancels out. So that is my answer. 16 minus x squared. So again, I write it like this in my two parentheses. I do not move this over here. They are both perfect squares, right? 16 is a perfect square. How do I get 16? I have 4 times 4. X squared is a perfect square. How do I get negative x squared? I do a positive x times a negative x. That's it. That's all it is. All right, let's check. Do we have perfect squares? 36, that's a perfect square. H squared, that's a perfect square. 121, that's a perfect square. So 36, I have 6. H squared, I have h. And then 121, I have plus 11 minus 11. Because 11 times 11 is 121. All right, go ahead and do those other three. And then let's look at, we're not going to be working on these. Let's look at how to square a perfect square trinomial pattern. So for this one, if you had, let's say, where should I put it right here? If you had x squared plus 6x plus 9. So here, this ends up being a perfect square because if you look, how do I get my x? I have my x's here. What factors of 9 get us to 6? Well, it's 3 and 3. There it is. That's all. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't even in the picture. So I have the x, and then what factors of 9 get me to 6? Well, I did my factors of 9. I have 1 and 9, and I have 3 and 3. Well, that gets me to 6. So I have x plus 3 times x plus 3. Well, I can also rewrite that as x plus 3 squared, right? It's the exact same thing. It's just 2 of them are squared, right? It's the exact same one. So that's how you do a perfect square trinomial pattern. That's what this is called, is a perfect square trinomial pattern. So let's look at this. So here we have our factors. And I'm going to start out. Just for the record, you know that all of these are going to be perfect squares because we just did it. A perfect square of a trinomial. So this is x and x. And then this is a perfect square. It's 8 times 8. So there's my answer. That's it. That's all I have to do. I might give the fancy pants answer. I might require that actually of you to show me that this is also known as x plus 8 squared. Okay, let's check this out. Oh, that's the square root of 169. So here we have r and r. And then what's the square root of 169? It's 13. Oops, I don't know if you can see that. 169 square rooted is 13. So I go ahead and I put, oh, it's a minus here. So, ooh, nice. Good thing we caught this. It's a negative 13 and a negative 13. Negative 13 times negative 13 is positive 169. And then if we did this, we did our double smiley face, we have negative 13r, and then we have negative 13r. Negative 13 and negative 13 is negative 26. So that's our answer. And it's the same thing twice, right? It's like a mirror image. So what this equals is r minus 13 squared. Just like that. Ugh, I got to keep this in the range. Got it? All right. Now, how about this one? All right. Ooh, it looks like it's getting pretty difficult. Thankfully, I know this lesson has to do with perfect squares. So the square of 36 is 6. C. And then 49, it's plus plus. So I have 7, and I have 7. Now I can check it by doing this. So 6 times 7 is 56, right? No, 42. Oh gosh, math teacher. 42C, 7 times 6 is 42C. 42 and 42 is 84. So there it is. And then I will simplify it by saying 6C plus 7 squared. Because it's 6C plus 7 times 6C plus 7. 6C plus 7 squared. Okay, now, since that lesson was pretty straightforward, let's look at solving the equation. So now we have this, we have the addition of, it's an equation. We're not just simplifying, we're doing an equation. So I have a perfect square equals 0. So I know it's x, and then it's plus 12 and minus 12. Because I know that the square root of 144 is 12. So now I have x plus 12 equals 0, and x minus 12 equals 0, right? Because I'm solving these equations. And the other ones I simply factored, and now in these ones with an equation, I'm solving them. Minus 12 on both sides, x equals negative 12. Plus 12 on both sides, x equals 12. There you go. That's it. Let's check this one out. Let's see here. I've got, so I'm going to have c in both of them. And 49, the square root of 49 is 7. That's a plus, so I have plus plus. So c plus 7 equals 0. C plus 7 equals 0. I'm going to get the same answer, so I'm going to just do it once. So c equals negative 7. Okay. No fractions! What? Oh, wait a second. Even the fractions are straightforward. I have my n, and then, oh, whoops, this isn't an equation yet. All right, it is an equation, but I need it to equal to 0 first. So I'm going to add 1/9 to both sides. So I then get n squared plus 2/3 n plus 1/9 equals 0. Now I could do my factor. So I have n for both of them. And then 1/9. What's the square root of 1/9? Well, the square of 1 is 1. And the square root of 9 is 3. How can I check it? Well, I could do my double smiley face. And this is 1/3 n. And this is 1/3 n. 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3 n. That's what I get. So there it is. So I have n plus 1/3 equals 0. And then n plus 1/3 equals 0. So subtract 1/3, subtract 1/3. N equals negative 1/3. And this is the exact same equation. So there's my answer. So I didn't even need to be afraid of fractions. Man, that's great. Okay. So if it clicks, you'll get it. Try and do your best. Don't worry about 7 through 12. And there you go. There's your assignment. Email me, call me, Zoom me, whatever you need to do to ask any questions. That will help you with the lesson. Have a wonderful afternoon.